You are actually just no different than animals. Company want to bulldoze our building, no problem. We down here are still being colonized by our own people.
We were visiting Oxford and it turned out that this city doesn't have any Indonesian eateries. That's why we decided to take a look what's going on in this community center where they held a Malaysian event. It was said that they will have food, and probably by now you already know that I love to eat. As soon we entered, we were greeted by Auntie Monica, and in matter of seconds we were getting our plates full of delicious looking food. My choice was nasi biryani ayam because I was curious what's the Malaysian version of this dish like. It's different from Indian, Pakistani or Bangladeshi biryani for sure. I would say this one was a bit milder on the flavor, reminded me of nasi kabuli. Also the sambal was a bit different from the ones that I have had so far. If I'm not mistaken, that was sambal ikan bilis, where the signature salty and oily flavor comes from the anchovies. I got even more anchovies from my wife's plate. Her choice was nasi lemak, which is considered the national dish of Malaysia. If you never had it before, you definitely need to try it. Eating a spoonful of rice, chicken, salty fish, peanuts and chili sauce sounds crazy, but it all together works out very nice. Of course, Malaysian food experience would be incomplete without a cup of teh tarik. Besides that, Auntie treated us with cake lapis, which is more or less the same layered cake that you get in Indonesia. Also, the ice stick reminded my wife of her childhood. We clearly enjoyed the food, but it turned out to play only a small part of what was happening here. We approached Henry from Sarawak, who told us about the struggle of the tribal people in his homeland. Some of the stories were quite shocking.
My name is Hendry, Hendry. This came from the Kenyah tribe in Sarawak. Kenyah or Kayan tribe. This is actually Iban tribe, and this is Penan tribe. We call it Penan Buk. This is the clothing that we wear, and then it's actually not with boxers apparently. Because it would be too sexy. So what I'm doing here is actually not just promoting the craft, the handicraft that is made by a woman of the native. She's actually helping her husband financially because her husband doesn't even have any documentation, doesn't have any proper ID and everything, birth certificate, even though he's the native over there. So he tried to support the family by selling this craft. Because of identification issues or proper documentation issues, it's very hard for them to find a minimum wages, work with anyone or everywhere. And then even when they want to go to the clinic, they need to pay like the foreigners fee and everything like that, which bring it much worse when it goes to the children. They're unable to go to school. You are recognized, but you are not prioritized. You are recognized, but you are not prioritized. You are there, but you're not there. It's something like that. When it goes to Sarawak, the land of the Sarawak doesn't belong to the native. The land of the Sarawak is belong to the state government. When it belongs to the state government, the native doesn't even have the proper documentation. You are actually just no different than animals. Even my house, I built my house there and everything. We just built our house. Anytime the state government or the company want to bulldoze our building, it's no problem. By the law, after 1957, any empty land there is in Sarawak, it's not belongs to the native, but it belongs to the state government. Even if you want to bring this to the state government, telling the state government that this is your piece of land, even before 1957, you need to prove an evidence. For the Penan people, the one that is nomadic, it's very hard for them to prove their existence before 1957 because they are nomadic. Basically, they just move around, gather what they have nearby. And she's from Indonesia, right? So Nusantara, the what we'll call it in English?
The capital is going.
The capital Jakarta is going to move to Kalimantan. And then can you imagine what will happen to the native that's still not recognized by the state government? When that happens, development, you can't stop development get into the other side. the other border. You can't stop that. Can you imagine the rights of the native people? What will happen to them? There's no need to talk about right. Can you imagine what happened to the language? There are one speakers left from this one tribe called Bomali. He's Bomali, and he's the only one that left who spoke that language, and he's already 80 plus years old. If he left this world, there is no longer Bomali. And also Vai tribe that is just recognized this year, early this year. Tering tribe also. There's a lot more tribes actually, but not really known by the state government itself. For me, what's really important for both cultural and the government is that the government nowadays should really respect the cultural kind of governments. That is what happened even back in Indonesia. President Jokowi, he really respect the Dayak people that is in Kalimantan. He acknowledged and he gave land back to the native people of the Dayak over there. But also in the same time, what they did is, there are like one of the village that I went, Putu Sibau. They call it Putu Sibau. The people who live there is Iban tribe. They use their culture as a tourism spot. And I think that is a thing that should be learned, not just in Malaysia, but the whole wide world. And in Malaysia, there is really proud saying that we are already independent for 60 years.
But not for everyone.
Yeah, but not for everywhere actually. We down here are still being colonized by our own people, colonized by the people that play or have power in the system.
It is sad that even in countries where there are no wars going on, people need to fight for basic rights. The Malaysia Roadshow is still going on here in the UK, and if you are interested in which cities it is taking place, please check out the following link. On an end note, I would like to say that even Malaysia and Indonesia have their differences, but countries share more in common than some people think.
You know, if I speak Malay, I can adapt with people's dialect. So when I went to Jakarta, Cikini, I do performance last time, and I speak. I already adapt with their language. All of a sudden, I speak their dialect, and then they were like, "Oh, which Kalimantan are you from?" No, I'm from Sarawak. Where's Sarawak? Which part of Indonesia? Which part of Indonesia is Sarawak? I'm from Malaysia. Why do you know this dialect? We're just borders apart. I can just walk in, and then they were like, yang benar. Yang benar. Yang benar. Ya beneran. I speak with them, and I was like, we need to go to your place one day.